The last ember in the hearth collapsed into ash, and the cold that had been waiting outside slipped in like an executioner.
Catherine, keep Samuel close. The cold's coming faster now.
There's nothing left to burn. His lips are already blue. If he sleeps, he won't wake.
Outside, the blizzard had swallowed the mountain whole, but inside Tyler's mind, a different fire burned, the image of John Reeves' house, warm as summer.
I called him a fool, told him a chimney in the middle was backwards. The men laughed with me. We're going to John's.
In this, we'll die before we reach his door.
We'll die here for certain. Now get the boy.
Tyler pulled his coat tight, and with a last look at the dead hearth where the embers had been, he opened the door and stepped into the fury 2 months earlier. John Reeves had stacked the first stone of his central chimney, and the ridicule began before the mortar dried.
A chimney in the middle. Reeves, you'll burn the roof down before you warm a single room.
The stone mass holds heat. It'll radiate long after the fire's low, into every corner.
The men laughed. They saw a man building his own coffin.
Backwards, John. You are building backwards.
Let them laugh. In winter, we'll see who sleeps warm.
Day after day, John lifted stone alone. The frame grew around the chimney, and the chimney rose like a spine. By first snow, the house stood complete, and the neighbors had moved on to other gossip, but they remembered the odd chimney.
It's finished. Now, it only needs a fire to prove itself.
Through the blizzard, the memory of that chimney burned in Tyler's mind, and the shame cut deeper than the cold. But John Reeves had not built his home alone. Even as the town scoffed, a smaller fire burned beside him.
You are not still fretting over those fools, are you? Eat. The stones will still be there.
And when the stones grew heavy, little Elias would toddle over, dirt on his cheeks, and press a pebble into his father's hand.
Here, Papa. Make it strong.
By winter's first breath, the house stood solid, the central chimney rising like a promise against the gray sky. But the sky had not finished its work. Across the mountains, a black wall of cloud was gathering, the kind that old-timers said swallowed spring whole. Now, that storm howled through the pines, and Tyler Hargrove pulled his family through drifts that reached their waists.
Don't stop. The wind will steal everything if you stop.
I can't feel my feet. The baby is so still.
Tyler squinted through the white, searching for the faint glow that meant John's chimney was still lit and that his family might survive the night. The wind cut like a scythe, and Catherine stumbled. Only Tyler's grip kept her from vanishing into the white.
Get up. I see it. John's light, straight ahead. Move.
If I fall again, they'll leave me. They should leave me.
Papa, I can't feel my hands.
Press them against my neck, boy. We're almost there.
Through the swirling snow, the warm glow of John's windows pulsed like a heartbeat, close enough to taste but still a fight away. Tyler had to choose, push on and risk collapse, or dig in and freeze. He chose the light.
Tyler, I can't. Leave me. Take Samuel.
We are all walking through that door together. Now lean on me.
With the last of his strength, Tyler locked his eyes on that golden promise and dragged his family through the final fence line. Tyler fell against the door, too weak to stand, and beat the wood with a frozen fist.
He'll see me and remember every laugh. He'll shut the door.
The doors swung open, light poured out like a flood of summer, and John Reeves stood there, eyes wide.
Good Lord, Tyler. Bring them in, quickly.
Tyler couldn't speak. John grabbed his coat and pulled him inside as if he weighed nothing. The warmth hit them like a wall. Not the dry sting of a hearth, but a deep living heat that seemed to come from the walls themselves.
Samuel. He's so cold. I have broth on the fire. Lay him here by the chimney.
The chimney. It's not just warm. It's breathing heat into every stone.
For the first time in hours, the shivering began to stop, and the frozen family slumped against the floorboards, alive. Margaret brought a steaming bowl to Catherine, who clutched it with trembling hands, the broth steaming in the warm air.
Thank you. I couldn't feel my fingers.
Elias, curious but silent, sat cross-legged by the fire, watching Samuel with wide eyes, then offered him a carved wooden horse.
Is it warm in your room too?
All the rooms are warm. Papa's chimney makes them all warm.
Tyler, still catching his breath, followed the boy's gaze, past the main room, through an open door, to a bedroom lit by the same amber glow.
No fire in there, yet it's as warm as this room. How?
He pushed himself up and walked to the doorframe, feeling the heat radiate from the stone wall, not from a stove, but from the very core of the house.
It's not just a chimney. It's a furnace in the bones of this place.
But he said nothing. The words caught in his throat, tangled with pride and the bitter memory of laughter. John knelt by the hearth of the central chimney, thrust an iron poker into the glowing coals, and the fire roared up the flue like a living thing.
Backwards. That's what I shouted at him. Backwards.
The word hung in his skull like a brand as he watched John calmly tend the fire that now kept his own family alive.
The stones will hold this heat until morning. It's a slow, steady thing.
From across the room, Catherine's soft voice cut the silence.
His cheeks are pink again, Margaret. He's warm.
Mama, I want to play with the horse.
He was gray in the snow. Now he's asking for toys. John did that.
Tyler's fingers dug into his thighs, the weight of his past cruelty pressing harder than any cold could. But still, the apology choked in his throat. Admitting he was wrong felt like surrendering the last scrap of his own worth.
Tomorrow. I'll say something tomorrow, when the storm has passed.
John set the poker aside and turned, his eyes meeting Tyler's with an unreadable calm.
How long were you in the cold? Your fire must have died hours ago.
It was out before we left. The wind had its way with the cabin.
That won't happen here. The mass in the center never loses heat. It seeps into the walls.
Never loses heat. Sounds like something a fool would believe.
Tyler kept his face still, but his jaw tightened.
In a regular house, the heat dies the moment the fire does. This chimney is different.
Different enough to save my son. But admitting it means admitting I was wrong.
The conversation hung there, unfinished, as the wind shrieked outside. A seed of doubt and hope buried itself in Tyler's chest, though he wouldn't let it sprout. Outside, the blizzard battered the walls, but inside, the chimney stood like a silent sentinel, warm, unmoved. Tyler watched the stonework. No extra wood had been added, yet the heat rolled off it in visible waves.
It hasn't been fed in an hour. By now, my own hearth would be cold ash.
He stepped closer and held his hands out, not to the flames, but to the bare stone. The heat soaked into his frozen joints.
This isn't just a chimney fire. The whole center of the house is a stove.
And despite the howling wind, the warmth did not waver. It radiated, slow and deep, like the sun on a summer rock. Tyler's pride finally broke silence. He turned to John, the question escaping, before he could cage it.
How long will those stones stay hot without more wood?
Long enough to see dawn.
And for the first time, Tyler did not scoff. He only nodded and waited for the lesson.
It's not magic, Tyler. It's just a different way of thinking about heat.
But why the middle? Every house I've seen puts the chimney on the outer wall.
John picked up a small, warm stone from the hearth and set it on the table between them.
A fire on an outer wall sends half its warmth straight outside, but this stone, it radiates in every direction at once.
My cabin's fire tried to warm the whole outside world. This one only warms the house.
Place the stone in the center, and every bit of that heat gets used. Nothing is wasted on the storm.
So the chimney's mass, it traps the heat, and the house just soaks it in.
Something like that. But there's more to it. The shape of the house matters too.
John rose to check the fire, leaving Tyler with a dozen more questions than answers.
He's holding something back, and I need to know the rest.
John finished tending the fire and sat back down, his eyes holding a question he already knew the answer to.
Stone has a memory, Tyler. It remembers the heat long after the flames die.
So the chimney isn't just a passage for smoke, it's a reservoir.
Exactly. Touch it. Feel what I mean.
Tyler stepped to the chimney and pressed his palm to the stone. The heat flowed into his bones, steady and patient.
It's like touching an animal that's been sleeping in the sun, alive.
Now come see where that heat goes.
He led Tyler to the nearest bedroom. The same amber warmth filled the space, with no fire in sight.
No cold walls here. The chimney shares its warmth with every room it touches.
Then in a cabin, every outer wall just leaks the heat away. That's why our fire died so fast. We were heating the storm. But then why aren't the outer walls of this house cold? In my cabin, the walls were ice.
Because in this house there is no fireplace on an outer wall. The heat never touches the cold face.
John picked up a charred stick from the hearth and sketched a rough diagram on the floorboards. A box with a circle in the middle, arrows radiating outward.
A normal cabin's fireplace is in the outer wall. Half the heat escapes straight outside. But here, the fire is in the center, and the heat has to pass through the rooms first. By the time the warmth reaches an outer wall, it's already done its job. The whole house is a wool coat around the chimney.
Tyler stared at the rough floor plan, the simplicity of it rocking him back on his heels.
It's so obvious. Every house I've ever known was fighting itself, warming the forest as much as the family. So the outer walls don't need to be warm at all. They just hold the roof up.
Now you are thinking like a builder. But I didn't invent this, Tyler. It's an old idea.
And for the second time that night, Tyler found himself speechless, hungry for a truth he had never known existed. John added a second sketch beside the first. A box with the fire against the outer wall, arrows pointing out one side, many breaking away into nothing.
See? The outer chimney shares its heat with the outside air. Only one room gets warm, and half the warmth is wasted immediately.
The same chimney, a different placement, and my family nearly froze.
Tyler traced the central diagram with his finger. The arrows all pointed inward, each one warming a different room.
Every wall touching that chimney gets warm. The heat spreads outward like ripples on a pond.
It's not just a fire, it's a heart that beats warmth through the whole body of the house.
The truth settled over him like a heavy blanket. He had fought John's idea for nothing, and now it had saved him.
You are quiet, Tyler.
I am listening, really listening.
And in the dancing firelight, the diagram on the floor seemed to glow with a wisdom far older than either of them. The storm reached its teeth into the mountain and shook, but inside John Reeves' house, the central chimney never trembled. Tyler rose and crossed to the frosted window. Through a clear patch, he saw a world erased by fury.
If we had stayed in the cabin, the walls would be cracking now.
He looked away. Near the fire, Catherine and Samuel slept soundly for the first time in days.
They're safe because of a chimney I called backwards.
Outside, the wind shrieked like a living thing. Inside, the chimney's glow was a heartbeat.
I owe him more than an apology. I owe him my family's lives.
Tyler's hand pressed against the window frame, his breath fogging the glass. He felt small, smaller than he'd ever felt, but wrapped in a warmth he knew he did not deserve. The chimney held its ground, and so did he, but something inside him had finally begun to yield. John remained seated by the fire, the charred stick still in his hand, his eyes gentle when Tyler moved to stand before him.
John, I was wrong about everything.
The cold has a way of clearing a man's mind. I hold no grudge, Tyler.
You said earlier it's an old idea. I need to know what you meant.
John set the stick down and studied Tyler for a long moment, as if weighing the cost of the words he was about to share.
When I was a boy, my father showed me a picture in a book, a grand house back east, built long before any of us were born. It had a chimney just like this one, massive, central, with rooms wrapped all around it. They called it a colonial. The old builders understood. A chimney at the heart keeps every room warm from a single fire. It's not new, Tyler, it's just forgotten.
Tyler stared at the engraving, the truth settling deep into his bones. Not just warmth, but the weight of a lesson that would outlast the storm. The wind shifted, slamming the north face of the house with a sound like cannon fire. The chimney flue shuddered and let out a low, mournful cry.
That gale will suck the warmth right out if we let the fire drop. We'll need more wood, and soon.
The wood pile's outside, isn't it? I'll go.
Tyler, you just thawed out. You go out there again and you might not come back.
This chimney kept my family alive when I gave up on them. If it needs wood, I am getting wood.
John studied him for a heartbeat, then nodded once and handed over his thickest coat. Tyler pulled the coat tight and opened the door. The storm swallowed him whole in an instant. In the silence that followed, the chimney's glow seemed dimmer, but it held. Minutes stretched like hours. Then, a heavy thud against the door. John wrenched the door open, and Tyler fell inside, arms wrapped around a split log, ice crusted over his beard, but alive. John took the log from Tyler's frozen arms and thrust it into the hearth. The flames roared back with renewed hunger.
Tyler, you couldn't wait 5 minutes for the storm to ease?
That chimney needed fuel. I wasn't going to let it die, not after everything it's done for us.
The warmth spread outward from the fresh logs, and the chimney seemed to breathe again, steady, ancient, faithful.
It's stubborn, this chimney, like a good friend who won't let you go cold, no matter how foolish you've been.
I spent years mocking something I didn't understand. Now, it's the only thing standing between my family and the grave.
None of that matters now. You are here, and you are safe. That's what the chimney was built for.
The storm's fury grew distant, muffled by the thick stone walls and the heartbeat of the fire at the house's core. One giant chimney in the middle kept every single room warm, not by magic, but by a wisdom the old builders had known and forgotten. And as the night wore on, 2 families slept under the same roof, bound by fire and stone, and the quiet truth that the best things are often placed in the center. The storm cracked open at dawn, and sunlight spilled over the white world like a pardon.
Look, the chimney, still drawing steady, not a single crack in the stonework.
My cabin's chimney fell over. The ice pried it apart like a rotten tooth.
Then you know what to build next, the old way with the heart in the center.
I'll build it exactly like this. No more outer walls for the fire. No more wasted heat.
The 2 men clasped hands, not as skeptic and builder, but as equals who had weathered the same storm.
And when your new chimney is done, bring the family. We'll test it with the first real snow.
That night, the 2 families shared one last meal by the great stone chimney, the children playing with the carved horse, the women binding a friendship in quiet words. One giant chimney in the middle had kept every single room warm and had rekindled something deeper than fire, a community. And when the Hargroves finally rode home, the chimney smoke followed them like a blessing, and Tyler carried John's book beneath his coat. By spring, the Hargrove cabin was only a memory. Tyler broke ground on a new plot, and with John's book as his guide, sank the first stone dead center.
No outer walls for the fire this time. We build around the chimney, not away from it.
I'll never huddle in a cold corner again. The heat belongs in the middle.
By autumn, the new house stood complete, a broad central chimney rising through the roof, rooms wrapped around it like petals. When the first blizzard of the season struck, Samuel played barefoot on the floor, and Catherine smiled without a shawl.
Every room, warm, just like John's. It wasn't magic, it was sense.
A neighbor, shivering in his own drafty cabin, came calling and found the Hargrove home as warm as high summer.
It's not mine. I learned it. The old builders knew. Central chimney, no wasted heat.
Before winter's end, 3 more families were raising central chimneys in the valley. One giant chimney in the middle kept every single room warm. And in the frozen mountains, a forgotten wisdom became the new standard. Midwinter again, and Tyler came riding through the snow with a pack on his saddle and John's book wrapped in oilskin.
Come in, come in. I saw you from the window. You brought the book back?
I know every drawing by heart, John. It's time it went home.
You've given it something better, a new life in the valley. That's more than any page can hold.
They stood by the great stone chimney and watched the snow fall through the window. Two men no longer divided by mockery, but bound by heat.
My son will never know what it's like to wake up with frost on his blanket. That's because of you.
No, Tyler, it's because of you. You were man enough to change.
The kettle on the chimney's ledge began to whistle, a sound that had meant salvation on the night the storm nearly took everything. And in that simple whistle, the whole truth of the central chimney sang, steady, patient, and unwilling to let the cold win. One giant chimney in the middle had kept every single room warm, and in doing so, had turned a skeptic into a builder, and a builder into a friend. Years later, on a bitter January night, John and Tyler sat by the same great chimney, the fire crackling as if no time had passed at all.
Still holds. Not a crack, not a draft.
I've counted 16 winters since I first stumbled through that door. Not one has been cold.
They fell into a comfortable silence, the kind shared by men who had faced the same storm and found the same sanctuary. Outside, the wind rattled the shutters, but inside, the chimney's warmth was a heartbeat that never missed a beat. Their hands, calloused and scarred, rested side by side on the stone, the builders and the skeptics, now the same. The chimney had become more than stone. It was a testament that the right idea, placed at the center, could outlast any winter. In the valley below, a handful of chimneys now stood at the hearts of homes, each one a promise kept. But the first chimney, John's chimney, still glowed the warmest, fed by friendship as much as fire. One giant chimney in the middle kept every single room warm, and in that warmth a friendship never cooled. On the coldest nights, the children would gather at the hearth to hear the story of the storm and the chimney that never let them down. John, now gray and bent, would open the old book one more time and point to the engraving that had started it all.
This house, this stone, it saved more than lives. It saved our community.
And the children, bundled in wool, would press their small hands to the warm stone, feeling the same heat that had defeated the blizzard. Outside, the wind howled, but inside, the central chimney's glow was the steady heart of a home built on faith in old wisdom. Elias and Samuel, now men themselves, sat among the listeners, their own families wrapped in the circle. They knew every word by heart, but they came anyway, because the warmth was never just physical. One giant chimney in the middle had kept every single room warm, and in its glow, a forgotten truth became a living legacy. The book would be passed to another hand, and another, each generation adding their own stone to the hearth. And somewhere in the mountain valley, under a cold new moon, a central chimney still smoldered, a promise that the coldest nights hold no power over those who build from the center.